In this lesson, we're going to look at the TradingView Crypto Pairs screener in real time and break down the principles from the previous lesson to show you how to scan and filter in the easiest way. So when you open the pair screener, it's going to look like this. And you're going to notice here, if we look on the left hand side, the ticker 36229 matches. So there are 36,000 different tickers as standard whenever you load this up. So as a screener, of course, what we need to do is filter, because this is no good to us. What good is 36,000? You can't trade that many coins. Okay, let's go through the principles I mentioned in the previous lesson and see how we end up at the end. Okay, first thing, I go over to the three dots on the right hand side, column setup, and remove everything except exchange. We want to keep that. We want to keep volume 24-hour in USD, and we want to add two things. You should remember what they are: volatility and relative volume. There we have it. Now you can customize this to however you want. The volume here on the left, the exchange, volatility, you can slide them across. Very nice. So I put them like this: volume, relative volume, because they're the two most important things to me. Volatility, and then exchange at the end. Now, that still gives us 36,229 matches, of course. We haven't filtered yet, but we've made it cleaner. We've taken away all the shit we don't need to look at. We've now got our data we need, and we need to filter down. So, we want to get rid, because if I go to volatility here, and I press on volatility, it's going to order it. It's going to sort it by highest to lowest. And you can see enormous volatility, so much so that you'd need a fucking master's degree in maths just to figure out how much volatility is on this coin. That's one of our illiquid shit coins that we talked about earlier. So, get it back to normal. Go to the exchange tab, go to the little filter tab, hit on any, and we don't want to use any, we want to use whichever ones you trade on. And using the same example from the last lesson, I'm going to do Binance, Bybit, Coinbase. There we go. Now, let's look. We now have, instead of 33,000, we now have 3,000 matches. So there, we've already cut it by 90%. Great, we're getting somewhere. We now have our volume, our relative volume, and our volatility. Let's check volatility again. Now it looks much better. Now we've got the highest one of 310%. We've got some 97%, 62%. Much more of a balanced view with volatility. We don't have any enormously crazy volatility that would be impossible to trade. And we've got a decent amount of coins to choose from. So, we want to now filter for volume. We want to take away anything that is less than 1 million USD per day. And I don't know why it didn't go through. Less than 1 million. That's 100K. Sorry. Less than. That's 100 there. That should be it. Maybe it's just 1M. No, it's not working. Great. Alright, well, fuck that. So the actual lesson, I'll just record the pair screener thing after. So I'll just play around with this thing until it fucking works. Technology, huh? So I can drag this up to 1 million. There we go. Of course, now it works perfectly. So, these are all our coins. The lowest being $1 million US dollars of traded volume, and the highest being unlimited. Now that filters us down to 798 matches. So now we're getting somewhere. And also be mindful that we have the 3 exchanges here. So 798 is not 798 because you've got multiple Bitcoin pairs, Ethereum pairs, across all the exchanges. But I'm sure you get the idea. Now, relative volume is the next thing we want to look at. So we want anything that is, we can just filter it by relative volume. So there's the highest ones first, which is what we're looking for because we want the most volatile coins. And we want to remove anything that is below. I would say we want it to be above or equal to 2. And there we have it. We have 8 matches per this scan. And these are our coins to focus on. They meet all the criteria we need. They're on one of our tier 1 exchanges. Their volatility is high. At least we can see that from a glance. The volatility is decent. The relative volume is high, and the volume meets the minimum threshold. So our ratios are good, our volume is good. These are coins that we could now dig a bit into. You'll see some of them, like MDT, so there's one duplicate. So we've got 1, 2, 3 keys duplicated, 4, 5, 6. So it says 8, but we've actually got 6 coins. And that's important. That's the point I was trying to make. We went from 36,000 different pairs, but that was probably about, that was probably about 10,000 different coins it could have been. If you take out duplicates, maybe 8,000. All the way down to 6 that are actually worth looking at. And so from there, what do? Well, we started with 36,000, we've ended with 6. That makes our job a lot easier. You can do that every morning, and you should do that every morning. And it takes you 2 minutes. And then you're like, okay, there's my 6 coins to focus on. So what do we do now? Now we go and chart them. So we get Swift, MDT, DREP, Key, People, and AGIX. And we chart them. We open them up and we look at key levels, support and resistance. We look at market structure. Is it bullish or bearish? Then we do other things. We wonder why is the volume elevated? And why is it so volatile? So we check the news for stories or updates that might have caused the moves. So you can scan through your news channels, any crypto-related news. You can search the ticker on Twitter. So $MDT will show you anyone who's tweeting about MDT. If you see a bunch of scammy influencers just shilling the coin, that can tell you something. Or if you see a bunch of people talking about some problem with the team, that can tell you something. This is all important news. You can check token unlock schedule of the coin, a very important one. A big reason why volume gets elevated on coins is if they have token unlocks, because that means more tokens on the market and potentially more things being dumped. You can then check the data. So you could say, I can load up Coinalyze to look at all my funding data. But when I see all the funding data, what does it mean? It just means, this coin's negative funding, this coin's positive. But if you already know that you have 6 coins which meet your criteria of being active, you then can look at the funding data and say, this coin's active, it's got high R-vol, and it's volatile, and I check Coinalyze and it's got extremely negative funding. Well, I would guess then if you go into the chart, you're probably going to see a short squeeze and be able to catch some trades within that. What else? That's it. You can use any type of analysis you want. All the other lessons all put together, price action, data analysis, sentiment analysis, etc. And you can see from there if you can get trades that match your system. This is the whole point. That's the intro to the crypto screener. The fastest way to scan for active coins every day using the 2 most important metrics, volatility and volume. There will be other lessons that will explore more of those variables because, as you can see, there are dozens of things you could play around with. Some that you might notice, like 1 month performance, 3 months performance, 52-week high and low, very useful. Average true range, I'll definitely talk about that in a later lesson. Bollinger Bands, useful. EMAs, you can see where they are in relation to their EMAs or regular MAs. You can see loads and loads of things. But of course, more does not equal better. And I believe nobody needs anything more than this. You take this, You get your coins. You then take your price action principles. You then look at the news. You then look at the data, and you say, okay, is there going to be a trade that presents itself for me today?